Donald Trump just freaked out after a reporter questioned him about Marjorie Taylor Greene, saying that she lost her way and that she's just putting on a show. And keep in mind that all of this is coming from a guy who literally paints his face orange and fabricates issues just to distract from the Epstein files. As the economy under Donald Trump comes crashing down around us, Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the only Republicans calling out Trump's lies, and it sounds like he's finally had enough. So stick around for Trump's attacks against a fellow MAGA Republican, and as always, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Now, as I and many other people reported on, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been blasting the Republican Party left and right for its disastrous leadership of our country. Now, she still isn't standing up for the important issues, but at least she's calling out Republican lies when she sees them. And last week, it seems she finally hit a nerve with Donald Trump.
The president says there's virtually no inflation and that grocery prices are going down. Do you agree with him on that?
No, I go to the grocery store myself. Grocery prices remain high. Energy prices are high. My electricity bills are higher here in Washington, D.C. at my apartment, and they're also higher at my house in Rome, Georgia, higher than they were a year ago. So affordability is a problem, and I'm a mom. My kids are 22, 26, and 28. That's the generation I worry about the most, and they're having a very hard time. But when I go back home and I talk to many of my constituents, I'm hearing stories of not only are we having a really hard time affording groceries and rent and things like that, but I'm also hearing stories about people maxing out their credit cards just to afford their monthly expenses.
Marjorie made major headlines by saying that not only did she disagree with Trump's lies about the economy, but she even slighted him by saying that she actually goes to the grocery store and knows that prices are soaring. And it's funny because Donald Trump centered his entire campaign around fixing the economy and lowering prices, neither of which are happening right now.
Prices are up in the United States for coffee. It's up almost 20%. Utility up 11.7%. And then electricity is up 5.1%. And vehicle repair, if you need your car fixed, it's up 11.5%.
Now, it wasn't just the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Fox News say that prices are rising. Trump's own base themselves are now saying it too. Donald Trump cannot afford to have other MAGA Republicans rallying voices in the party, but it sounds like more and more Republicans agree with Marjorie, who have lost hope for Donald Trump's economic policies.
I talked to more than a dozen people in downtown Morristown. Everyone was mad about prices.
Sometimes things is 4 times what they was a year ago. A roast I used to get for $12, $15, $35. It's awful.
Everything, just keeps going up.
Well, I used to spend $40 a week. Now it's $140 or something like that. I just don't think it's going to go down for a long time. They're not concerned with people like us.
They said these tariffs that they've got on, it's going to bring prices down. They're not. Because it's going to have to charge more to make up for them having to pay to bring it in. And I just say everything's going downhill.
Every day, Americans left and right are literally speaking out about the economy with dread in their voices. That's clearly not a good sign for Donald Trump. And if having his own voters and fellow Republicans speak out against his economy wasn't bad enough, Marjorie Taylor Greene also ticked off Trump by going after Republican leadership. First, in her interview from last week, she claimed that the Republican losses in the election had less to do with affordability and more to do with bad leadership.
So when the president says that it's not that affordability hasn't been fixed, it's that people and Republicans aren't talking about it enough, that seemed to be a takeaway of his from Tuesday night's elections. You disagree with that sentiment?
I think Tuesday was definitely a referendum on how leaders in this country are leading.
And her attacks on her own party continued onto today, where Greene has doubled down on attacking her own party's agenda. Her comments today were more geared towards Mike Johnson and the government shutdown as a whole, but as the biggest supporter of congressional gridlock, this is a clear slight at Donald Trump's lack of any help during the shutdown.
And I feel like our majority is being ruined. I really do.
By what exactly?
Inaction. I voted to fund the government on September 18th. And then guess what? We haven't been to work since.
But whose fault is that?
Mike Johnson's.
Why?
He's told us not to come back. He's keeping the House out of session. All the American people are working every single day.
Chuck Schumer. You don't think it's related to the shutdown?
Chuck Schumer's in the Senate, everybody. Yeah. Mike Johnson is in the House. He's the Speaker of the House. And he can bring us into a session where we can be passing our bills, We can have our committees at work.
Marjorie isn't just saying that her party is being taken in the wrong direction, but she even says that their majority might be under threat. And to be fair, the elections last week were definitely a warning sign of this. Under the leadership of Mike Johnson and Donald Trump, the Republican Party is making the Democrats look better and better every single day. But as you can imagine, instead of actually fixing the problems that hurt Republicans during the election and are turning voters away, Trump instead decided to attack Marjorie Taylor Greene for daring to talk about them. Donald Trump was asked in the Oval Office today how he felt about Marjorie saying that prices were rising and that he needs to focus on domestic issues. But instead of addressing inflation or his backwards agenda, he goes after Marjorie Taylor Greene and goes on a rant about Russia and then says that Greene is catering to the other side.
Earlier today, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a big ally of yours, said that she would rather see you focused on nonstop domestic policy meetings here at the White House instead of nonstop foreign policy meetings. What's your response to her saying that, and also saying that grocery prices are up and not down, as you've said?
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Marjorie. She's a nice woman, but I don't know what happened. She's lost her way, I think. But I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean, we could have a world that's on fire where wars come to our shores very easily if you had a bad president. We had a horrible president, and we ended up with Russia, Ukraine, and we ended up with other disasters, too. Don't forget, I put out 8 wars, 9 to come. I think I'll get the other one taken care of, but I put out 8 wars. And look at the damage that Russia, Ukraine has done to us as a country. I mean, we spent $350 billion. We're not spending any money anymore. Now they pay us through NATO. You know, I got NATO to go from 2% to 5%. Well, that's very important. When you're president, you really sort of have to watch over the world because you're going to be dragged into it. Otherwise, you're going to be dragged into a world war. I think if I weren't president, first of all, that war would have never happened if I was president. And if I weren't president, that war could have led to World War III. It won't. It's not going to anymore. But when I first got in, I said, wow, this situation could lead to World War III. And I got NATO together. I got everybody together. But with all of that, I passed a great, big, beautiful bill, which is the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. So when somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's now catering to the other side, I don't know what, I guess she's, got some kind of an act going, but I'm surprised at her.
Donald Trump says that he's more focused on international issues because he's dealing with global problems like the Ukraine war, a war that he has not ended and has made no progress in negotiations. If that is what Trump is focused on and he hasn't accomplished anything, then I think it's clear that problems like inflation won't go away even if Trump was working on them. But nonetheless, the fact that Donald Trump would rather attack his own party members for criticizing him instead of working to fix the problems that they and their voters are upset about shows you just how little Trump cares about being president. He's all for ripping up the White House and traveling around the world on Air Force One, but helping solve everyday problems like inflation is just too much work for him. Leave your thoughts on Trump's attacks today in the comments below, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more.